Okay, very excited. Welcome back to the 5 Credit Startup, where we're talking about all things AI and using these tools to help you build your future. I have a very beloved guest, Tasemere Gathers, who will be joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and then share our little Zoom that we got going so we can kick off the conversation. Okay, screen is shared. Tasemere, you there?
Right here.
Awesome. Feel free to turn on your camera. They are already seeing me from a different angle. So, um,
Okie
well, I'm so glad to have you. I really wanted to do this session because I've been yapping away these last few episodes about how AI and using some of these AI tools can get us further faster when it comes to building new companies. And obviously, the work that we did Q1 of this year was a perfect example of that. So, first and foremost, I would love for you to introduce yourself. Who are you? What are you building? Why are you building it?
Okay, so thank you so much for having me.
Of
I
course.
will warn everyone that is viewing if you see me looking away or doing something, it's because my children are home on summer break. Earlier
Mom
I
life.
said spring
Yep.
break, so clearly I am not in the right time zone or timeline, but they're here. Which I think is helpful because you guys will get to see me in complete founder mode. So I'm Tashmere Gathers, the founder of BrightAxis Solutions and BrightAxis the tool. And BrightAxis Solutions is really my methodology around how parents are navigating children with special needs. My son is autistic and nonverbal, and so I have some methodologies that I use when I'm in partnership with different schools and therapies. But I also created Bright Access, the tool, which basically helps me communicate with his entire care team and really takes the load off of me to have to transmit communications back and forth from myself to the care team and or different care team members.
I love that. And this is something that we connected on super, super early. So Tajmir has been part of my Hustle Forward Network community for 2.5 years now, a year and a half now. It's been quite a while. When she first started, had a completely different idea of what the problem might be. Can you talk us through a little bit how you came to what the actual problem you wanted to solve is? What you just told us is a very refined, long journey, end journey version. Take us way back to the very beginning. It started with the school bus,
It
and
did start with the school bus. So, and like most parents, when you first get a diagnosis of your child having some sort of special need, whether they are learning differently, they're doing something differently, you're kind of like thrown this diagnosis that you have to decide whether you accept it or whether you don't accept it, and that's
mm,
no judgment.
mm,
For me, I always knew something was different with Elijah because I knew that he wasn't meeting certain milestones, but also a part of me kind of was like, oh, maybe he'll just do that later. Like,
yeah,
what's the big deal?
yeah.
Everybody doesn't learn at the same rate or whatever. And eventually I had to come to grips with, like, okay, this is a really big thing, and I need to try to help him as much as possible. So Elijah started going to school. Before that, he was not in school. I was
Mm,
basically like a full time at home mom and founder. And I was navigating, sorry, this is me in mommy mode.
You're
I
good.
was navigating just what I thought I could do. Because as parents, sometimes we think we have the answers. And Elijah clearly needed to go to school because he wasn't socialized around any other kids because he was born during the pandemic, which a lot of us feel like was such a long time ago, but it was only a few years ago. And he started going to school, and he had to take the school bus. And I was completely nervous. Like, how am I going to put my kid that has 0 words on this school bus? How is that going to happen? And one of the biggest things that I was afraid of was like, oh, he's going to get hurt on this school bus. And eventually that is exactly what happened. Elijah had a different bus assistant who wasn't used to him, and because he doesn't look like he has any challenges, the assistant just figured that he could, get off the school bus on his own, and he needs assistance at that time getting on and off the school bus, and he fell down every step in the concrete getting off the school bus. And at that time I was like, oh my gosh, I need to fix this. I need to do something about the school bus. And so that's when I first started thinking about doing something specifically for kids or parents of kids that are neurodivergent.
Yeah. And how did you get from he fell off the school bus, we need more transparency on the school bus, to we just need more transparency, period? Like, what was that process like?
So I sat with this, I think I wanted, and now he wants to be on screen.
Hey,
I sat with this, I need to do something, but I didn't really know what the something was. And because my personal interaction with the school bus, I was kind of stuck in that space for several months.
I love that you said that.
And what ended up happening was that Elijah was also doing ABA therapy, which is basically like a behavior therapy. So how to get him to do some things that might come natural to other kids, like playing with another kid. At that time, Elijah never wanted to play with other kids. And so we were doing that at home. And that was my first real experience of managing this care team. When people talk about getting support, that was my first real support that I had to manage on a daily basis. Outside of that, he was just going to school, and he also was doing some occupational therapy and some speech therapy, but those were in clinic, and it was for about like an hour, and I would take him there twice a week. But when I had ABA come into my home, I have to deal with these therapists every single day. And every day, my therapist would ask, how was school? And at first, that question didn't bother me that much, but eventually it started aggravating me because I never had updates, right? So it almost felt like you're asking me questions that I don't know the answers to. And you also know I can't get these answers from my son. And so I started getting really frustrated with, like, how am I supposed to get these updates? And the little bit of updates that I would get from OT and speech, depending on how crazy my life was that day, I might have forgotten those updates by the time I needed to share those with the ABA person. And my BCBA kept saying, Tasemere, you should build something. And I was like, I'm not magic or anything. Like, I'm just a mom I'm trying to figure out how to navigate work and how to manage my businesses. Like, I'm not a magical person. But then one day when he said it to me, I said, would it be helpful if I could at least give you updates or connect you to other people on his care team? And that was where the light bulb went off, because they usually don't encourage your therapist to attend your IEP meeting. But this IEP meeting is going to basically lay the structure for the entire school year. So you need as many people that are supporting your child to give input on what they feel they're able to do or what they feel they need help with. And so I was thinking, well, if it's not If it's not welcomed for him to come, how do I get the updates from the therapist that don't seem like I'm making something up? And so this tool started really forming from that point of view.
I love it. I love it. So, how did you know that you were ready to start building? So, where in January of this year, me and you had started having conversations around, okay, the problem has solidified. It's evolved from school bus incident to let's create transparency across the entire care team. When did you know you were ready to start building, and how were you thinking about going about that process?
So I knew that I was ready to start building because Elijah was starting a new school.
Mm.
And I needed to stop going through this cycle of me trying to keep all the information in my brain. Like that was just
Yeah.
really overwhelming. And I also started meeting other parents that had like similar challenges that they were navigating. When I say similar, I mean around the same age as Elijah,
Yeah.
dealing with like limited language or no language at all. And we're all trying to, all of our kids were born during COVID, and we're trying to figure out like why are they not talking?
Mhm.
What do we do for toilet training? And so I was like, okay, I need to get this out of my brain, and I need to get this built. But originally, I think I even shared with you, like, I don't know no developer freak, and I kind of think I know how I want this to look, but I never was on a tech team.
Mhm.
So how do I lay out all of the different things that I need this tool to do where I can share that with someone else?
Yeah.
Was extremely challenging for me. But when we started working together on like mapping it out and who is the first audience that we're trying to map out and what do we want them to do, putting that into AI and having AI give me the prompts helped me see how to do it. So like it was almost like, oh my gosh, AI is in my brain and this is Elijah's leg here.
Hey, Elijah.
And clapping his hands because this is a new thing that he's learned how to do. They knew like in the last 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
So he, whenever he can, he wants to show off that he can.
I love it. You got to celebrate the wins, the big and the small.
And that's the other thing. We're having a kid that's neurodivergent. Everything is a win because their brain just processes information so much differently. So when they're doing a new thing that you've been trying to get them to do sometime for a year or for 2 years, and all of a sudden they start doing it, you get really, really excited because it's really just learning how they learn and how they communicate.
For sure. And I mentioned earlier that this is something that we connected on really early, because I have a brother who has autism. He's 3 years younger than me, and I'm his legal co-guardian. And so I've always had the perspective of being his older sister, and very tangentially from a distance, watching my mom advocate for him and train him up in the way that she wanted him to go. But to be able to see it as an adult now, adult to adult, watching you go through this process with Elijah, it's just given me so much more appreciation for what my mom went through, especially in the early 90s when there wasn't the technology, there wasn't as much understanding, there wasn't as much language or support around what autism is and how it affects young kids well into adulthood. So it's very much felt like she was trailblazing when it came to, okay, I have this son and he has these special needs. She used her legal degree to be able to understand the lay of the land and what resources are available to him in school, out of school, etc. So when you started talking about a care team, Grady really didn't get that until his adult years. And so, but I now see it, right? The therapist, the BCBA, the adult day center that he goes to or he attended for a time, his social worker, right? Having all of those people on one accord, on one page, trying to support your son definitely resonated with me from that perspective. Going back to the build piece, when we first started thinking about, okay, how do we want to build this? You had the traditional, I need to find a developer or I need to find a development team, work with them. What what helped you transition from that traditional state of mind to maybe we can use AI tools to build this platform?
First, I would say it was the financial
Yeah,
realization that I cannot hire a full development team.
because they're not cheap.
The other piece of I don't know exactly how I want this to look and feel,
Hmm.
and I felt like if I tried to hire a development team, I need to hand them something, right? And what is this something? I don't quite know yet, and I haven't really proven that the flow of what I'm thinking is actually the flow of what I need.
Yeah.
And so going the AI route wasn't just like a financial decision. It was also like I can give it this prompt, and in a few minutes I can have something that I can respond to, that I can test, and then I can say like this works or this doesn't work, versus waiting weeks to get the same to the same.
I love that. So we started off with, like you said, we did some user mapping, trying to understand the different user types, understanding what their journeys might be on the platform. Aw, Zoe. We did all of that brain work kind of together. And then I said, you know what? I'll take the first stab at it. Let me synthesize all of this, we use Lovable as the tool of choice, take it into Lovable and see what comes out. After that first iteration that I did, you essentially have been hands on. I haven't seen the thing since. Talk to me a little bit about if you had any reservations or trepidations beforehand versus how you feel expert level now.
I really didn't have anything beforehand because
Okay, good.
I just wanted to. I didn't really know how it was gonna look or how difficult it was gonna be, but when I figured out like, okay, I can use a different tool to practice to get the prompt together to put into Lovable. After a while, I just was in there building. You would think I was like a Lovable expert. I'm
She
like,
was.
oh no, I think
She
we
sure
need to
was.
add this, and I need to change the color here,
Yeah.
and this functionality isn't working the way, and I tested it and it's not working out. Having that level of control,
Yep. Freedom.
as a founder, I think is so important because if you hire the developer first, and I totally think that there is a space for developers,
For sure.
once you actually prove that this is the flow, these are the audience types, this is how you need this to look, like when you can give them all of that information, because once they create it, it's going to cost more money to go back and fix something, right? Of like, oh no, I forgot to add this variable, or I forgot to add this functionality, right? Just getting that together along with can people use the tool and I get feedback before I hire a team, I think is phenomenal. Like now I'm able to have conversations and the conversations are not abstract of like, well, I'm creating this thing and this is kind of what I wanted to do. It's like, no, I've created it and I'm going to invite you to use the tool. And then you can let me know what you like or what you don't like in the tool. And I would say like having this tool has made it easier for me to get my team all on the same page, which ultimately made Elijah's IEP meeting run so much smoother because we already knew what we were going in there asking for.
I love it.
So it was like they've been doing their progress reports, which is great, but a progress report only comes out every few months, whereas in the tool, I can get updates every day, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm putting something in there and then they're responding back, or they put something in there and then I can respond back.
Yeah.
So now when we're preparing for the IEP, it's kind of like, these are the goals that I have. Maybe this aligns with the progress report or not, but these are the goals that I have. This is what I would like to do. How do we get this to the IEP team?
Yeah.
And then even inviting the IEP team to say, like, we've been collecting data all school year.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can see the notes from when the school year started to now. So you can understand why we're saying we need these things. Made it so much easier to be on the same page. So now instead of seeming like we're adversaries, we're in partnership. And I really do want to be in partnership with school, as I think most parents want to see school as a partner versus seeing school as an obstacle.
For sure. Okay, so before I let you go, one thing I would love for you to do is look back, right? I think founders, before they become founders, they have certain assumptions about how the journey will go, what will be hard, what will be easy, etc. If you were to go back maybe a year, maybe 2 years, and tell yourself, girl, be careful, or look out for this, or this is going to be a little different than you thought, what would that be for you?
I think timing, right? Because it is uncomfortable to not know what you're doing.
For sure.
When you know that you want to build something, but you don't know what that thing is quite yet.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be uncomfortable, or it can feel like you're standing in one place. But I would tell myself to be comfortable with however long it takes to make it happen, because I think oftentimes we're wanting things to be, I have the idea, I have the tool, I have the users, and it happens in that complete flow.
Yeah.
And sometimes there are results in being in that gray space and building.
Love that. Okay, last question for you, and this is going to be a clip it up moment. Tell us about BrightAxis. Where can people access it? No pun intended. Who is it for? What value do they derive from it? Just give us the full rundown.
Okay, so BrightAxis is a web-based, I learned to say a web-based application.
Yep.
So here I am using my lingo. BrightAxis is a web-based application for parents and or caregivers and or members of the care team to share updates on how that child is doing on a daily or weekly basis. You also can see updates from other people that are also using the tool and respond back to them. And the benefit of it is that you now have a place that is keeping track of all their milestones and or what you still need help with, who their team members are, what progress they're making, how can you as a parent and or caregiver like replicate some of these things that's happening in school or in other settings at home where you are. So now you're really a whole team instead of fragmented pieces of the team. And you can find it at BrightAxis.io, BrightAxis.io.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tasemere, for joining us. I've appreciated working with you throughout the year. Loved this conversation, and I'm looking forward to the next phase of BrightAxis' very bright future.
Thank you.
No problem. I will talk to you very soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. So really glad Tajmir gave us some time to talk through her experience building BrightAxis through the Hustle Forward Network. Yes, I've helped her in various ways, but it's really the monthly meetings, the community that's also poured into her, helping her get connected with other organizations and people that can help continue to further the journey. So that will be all for today. We'll be back next week. I will be continuing to build a broad impact collective live. I've made a little bit of progress using my 5 credits a day. So I definitely want to share those updates. And definitely feel free to share this if it resonated with you. Subscribe, like, comment, all of that. Join us in the Hustle Forward Network. In the description box, you have the link to that. You have the link to Lovable credits as well as Gamma and a few other things. So thank you so much for your time. And until next time, I will see you.